I had seen the sportsman's Alaska. Now I wanted to see the settlers in the fertile Matanuska Valley near Anchorage. This is the Matanuska Valley. If you take that and the Tanana Valley near Fairbanks and the Kenai Peninsula, you get about all the arable land in Alaska. This is virgin forest land. The farmer must cut off the trees, a process which costs $75 to $150 an acre. It is not as rich as Iowa and Kansas land is rich. It must be fertilized and cultivated, and after years of fertilization, it will produce good crops. The soil does not cling together. In dry seasons, it turns to powder. In the 30s, the Depression, the federal government sent a group of families up here to settle. Some became discouraged and went home. Some stayed on and are either well-to-do farmers or are working on non-farming jobs. They were the original settlers in this particular area. It is not easy to cut these farms out of the forest. One man working alone without machinery may need a year to cut an acre. Years later, he will be pulling up stumps and roots. But there are many farmers who are doing that today, although usually neighbor helps neighbor. One will work for the other to repay the loan of a tractor that will do the work quickly. We wanted to find a homesteader, a man who had claimed his 160 acres from the government, cut a farm out of the wilderness. We discovered Pat Carney plowing in one of his fields. The farm is far distant from any neighbor. The children must live without playmates. And there's nobody with whom Mrs. Carney can drop in for a cup of coffee. But Mr. and Mrs. Carney are real pioneers of Alaska, this last frontier. Mr. Carney, you came here from Ohio. What caused you to come to Alaska?
Oh, I had that old dream that all kids get. I'd read James Oliver Curwood, and I always wanted to come to Alaska.
Well, how long ago was that?
That was in 1949.
And has the dream come true?
Well, it's still as nice as it was when I came.
Well, in this farm here that you've literally created out of the wilderness, you making money on it? Is that why you like it?
No, I'm making a living, but not really a good living. I think it's a life more than anything else that holds me here.
Well, when were you and Mrs. Carney married?
In 1954, I believe it was.
And then you moved here, did you, Mrs. Carney, your first year you were married?
No, we lived in a little house that he built about a mile from Marcella.
He built the house?
Yes.
And then when did you come to this? This was deep woods, wasn't it, when you first
yes.
came? And how did you get here? Did you no road or anything?
No, we hiked across about 3 miles of wilderness to begin with, and then we put a cat trail in.
And then you built a house, or what happened?
Well,
did you build this house that's behind us?
That's right. We built that after we were married.
But when you came here, was the house built?
Oh, no, we built it.
Built around us.
Built it around you.
We got the inside wallboard on and then moved in, and then he worked on insulation. And
was this summer or winter?
Oh, it was winter. It was cold.
It was? How cold?
Well, we used to keep our potatoes in a shopping bag, and we'd put them on a chair right beside the stove, and they'd freeze overnight.
Well, did you have any running water?
Oh, no.
Did you have any electricity?
No electricity, no radio.
Well, that sounds like a real pioneer effort. Now, how much have you cleared here? How much of this land?
About 75 acres.
And you've cleared it all yourself?
That's right.
And what do you do? What do you farm here?
Well, I raise forage for dairy cattle.
And you have a herd of cattle yourself?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And then you have, I saw some pigs running
around.
Oh, yeah,
and pigs and chickens. And I guess that's about all.
Well, tell me, what was the greatest difficulty that you met when you started working this wilderness and making a farm out of it?
Well, the greatest difficulty was making a living from it, I believe.
You didn't have any cows, and you had to find a place to live and then clear all the trees away.
I had to clear the land and at the same time make a living as we tried to acquire different machinery we needed to farm and clear the land. So the greatest difficulty was making a living, I guess you might say.
Well, how about you, Mrs. Carney? What was your greatest difficulty?
Oh, I don't know. I suppose doing without water.
Doing without water. And you had a small baby at the time, I believe.
Yeah. He was 6 months old when we moved out.
And then you told me you had some other difficulties that first
yeah.
winter. What were they?
Oh, Pat, I don't know. The roads were real bad. It was a bad winter. It just seemed like it'd snow and then blow all the roads closed. And, Pat had just cleared out our road one day, and that night he came home and he said he wasn't hungry. And about 11 o'clock he was sick and said his side hurt. And, we just let it go. And then 1 o'clock he woke up and he was really sick. And, we figured it was his appendix. And so we had just installed, what kind of phones were they?
They're Army EE8 telephones on a field line.
Private field line?
That's right. It's civil defense setup.
Anyway, we called up his brother, and his brother came up on the horse and got the car started, and we went in, and they operated on him at 6 o'clock that morning. So
Yes, it
he
was
a
lucky
pretty
that
sick boy.
he'd cleared that road.
Yes. Oh, yeah. And
Mr. Carney, I wonder what advice you'd give on anyone who wants to homestead up here. You've had years of hard work. You've literally cleared the wilderness away with your own two hands. But do you need money to do it as well?
Oh, yes. I would say that a person who wanted to come up here and develop a farm from the country should have about $30,000 plus the land. I don't think that you could get by decently any other way.
So that you'd need about that amount. You tried it with less first,
Oh, yes.
didn't you?
I tried it with $10,000 to begin with, and I've gradually borrowed more until I would say that I've got a good $30,000 invested in this place right now in cash.
Plus the labor of years and land that was actually given you by the government if you cleared it.
That's right.
How long after you cleared it did the government turn the land over to you?
Well, actually, I received title to the land before I cleared it.
Mm-hmm.
I was a veteran, and I got my rights under the veteran status after I'd gone into the service. I homesteaded and then went into the service, and it hadn't proven up on my homestead. And when I came out, they gave me title. So,
what do you think of the future, Mr. Carney? Do you have hopes of having a really big clearing all your... How many acres have you got? 160? 180
now. Yes.
How long will it take you to clear the rest of them?
Well, I don't intend to clear all, but I suppose it'll take me another 5 years to clear what I want to clear.
And you know Pat will win through. To see the farm of the man who came to the valley 20-odd years ago, we visited Max Sherid. Here there are fertile fields. It's difficult to remember that when Sherid and the other early settlers came, they also had to cut their farms out of the wilderness. The long sunlight, cool temperature, plus much fertilizer means quick-growing crops. Well, this is a beautiful vegetable farm you have here, Mr. Sherid. What are these? I'm not much of a farmer. What are these plants?
This is rhubarb. Some places it's called pie plant.
Well, it looks a good deal bigger than what I'm used to at home.
Yes, this is pretty good sized rhubarb. It grows large because we have 20 hours of sunlight here. And I'll pull you a couple of stalks here so you can see what it looks like.
That is a good size.
Get one more here. I think I can find one. There. Now, you see, this is pretty tender, very brittle, and it's very tasty, and makes wonderful pies and wonderful sauce. And don't believe you'll find anything quite like this anywhere in the States, because it grows fast due to the long sunlight and makes fine produce.
Well, you've got a wonderful farm, Mr. Sherid. Did you create this farm yourself? Did you come and cut it out of the woods, or what?
Yes, we got this farm about 22 years ago, moved on it 20 years ago, and we removed these trees, built our houses and our buildings, and we've been working at it for the
Did you have a tough time at the beginning?
Yes, it was hard. Equipment was hard to get, and money was scarce, and we worked pretty hard hours, and we couldn't sell everything in those days because there wasn't the demand. We didn't have any army up in this country. We didn't have the population. The city of Anchorage only had 1,200 people in it.
And now it's got 80-odd thousand.
Yes, it's got 80,000, but we need a greater population to sell our produce. You're
producing too much, then.
We raise a lot more produce here than the market will take.
We had seen in this lovely valley various types of farms. I wanted to get some authoritative information on what Alaska can offer the newcomer, so we flew. Of course, that's the only way you can get anywhere in Alaska, down to Juneau, the state's capital. I met Gil Johnson, Commissioner of Labor, and Phil Holsworth, Commissioner of Natural Resources. I asked Mr. Holsworth to tell me more about homesteading opportunities.
Yes, unfortunately, there are quite a few who don't make it. We have today about 1 million acres of land in Alaska which has been classified as agricultural. Only 25,000 acres of that is presently cleared. The Bureau of Land Management has issued homesteads without land classification, and many people have landed on or ended up on lands which are not agricultural and cannot make a go of it.
Well, is it just too difficult for a lot of them?
Well, they don't realize that it takes a little bit of money besides the time to get land into production, and they come up unprepared. I have here a letter from one old homesteader to another, and I would like to just make a remark or a quote from it, which I think is very apropos of some of these cases. Nothing much going on around here, not much in the way of local news, and anyhow, you'd probably not recognize the names. I don't know a fraction of the people, and I used to know them all. The woods are full of homesteaders, all of them with 18 children, no money, no job, and no knowledge of farming. But one thing all of the newcomers share is the certainty that they can make a fat living on the homestead. I used to patiently explain to them why homesteading was unprofitable from an agricultural standpoint. I no longer even try. They won't listen. In fact, it is now the other way around. They tell me how it is done, and I tell you they know whereof they speak. Because didn't they read all about it in Exciting Agriculture? Or was it We Married the Land and Fell into a Gold Mine by Sophie and Robert Q. Nitwit, a charming couple who came to Alaska way back in 1959 and licked the hell out of the wilderness through togetherness.
Well, that seems to indicate that there's much more difficulty in homesteading than a lot of people really realize.
I happen to know this homesteader. We homesteaded in the same area several years back, and I do share his feelings to some extent.
What about a fellow coming up here to get an ordinary job in industry, Mr. Johnson? What are the opportunities?
At this time, frankly, there are no opportunities for the what we'll call the ordinary fellow. Excuse me. We have a great need for skilled help up here: engineers, electronics technicians, nurses, that sort of thing. But right now, our labor market is glutted with people flocking in from outside. In many cases due to advertisements such as Phil has just mentioned here. We have a great deal of trouble with employment agencies outside that are interested in collecting a fee and sending the people up here. In Fairbanks alone, as of today, we have about 700 unemployed people looking for jobs, and there are no more jobs up there.
So you wouldn't advise the boy getting out of high school or the young married man, unless he has special skills, to come up here?
Absolutely not. We have them in our office every day. They come in, they're flat broke, but there's not much we can do for them. But
the opportunity may be here someday, but it isn't here at present.
That's
Is
right.
that about the sum total of it?
We need highly skilled people, but the only way to do it is to come up on a vacation, look the state over, or have a job before they come up here.
It is apparent that Alaska, with its mountains and valleys, its shores and its streams, has much to offer the newcomer. For the sportsman, there is hunting and fishing of a kind almost impossible to find elsewhere in the world. For the settler, who wants to create a home and a farm, as our forefathers did in past generations, there is a challenge: hard work and the need for money. Perhaps Robert W. Service said it best nearly 60 years ago when he visioned Alaska speaking like this: "Wild and wide are my borders, stern as death is my sway, and I wait for the men who will win me, and I will not be won in a day. And I will not be won by weaklings, subtle, suave, and mild, but by men with the hearts of Vikings and the simple faith of a child, desperate, strong, and resistless, unthrottled by fear or defeat. Them will I gild with my treasure, them will I glut with my meat. Dreaming of men who will bless me, of women esteeming me good, of children born in my borders, of radiant motherhood, of cities leaping to stature, of fame like a flag unfurled, as I pour my tide of riches in the eager lap of the world.